we chose to explore Prague in its very extensive and comfortable public transport. The currency in Prague is Czech koruna, which on the dates of our visit were 21 korunas to $1 US. A public transport single ticket will cost you 60 koruna. But for those like us, who are over 60 years age, it costs only 30 koruna. You can buy 24 or 48 hours tickets, which would cost you 240 or 480 koruna respectively. However, for over 60, the only option is to buy a 24-hour tickets for 120 koruna, and that's the option we chose, purchasing a 24-hour ticket every 24 hours. These tickets need to be stamped at the yellow machines and are valid from the stamped time and not from the time of their purchase. Our first destination was the Prague Castle. Prague Castle is not just a fortress, it's a living chronicle of 1,000 years of Czech history. Founded in the 9th century, it has been home to kings, emperors, and presidents alike. Within its massive stone walls lies a city in itself. Courtyards, gardens, palaces, and cathedrals woven together through time. At its heart rises the majestic St. Vitus Cathedral, a masterpiece of Gothic architecture where Bohemian kings were crowned and saints lie entombed. It has featured in many famous movies like Mission Impossible, The Illusionist, and The Three Musketeers. Climbing 280 steps will take you to the top of its north tower. From the castle terraces, the red rooftops of Prague unfold below like a sea of history, with the Vltava River glistening beyond. Even today, as the seat of the Czech president, Prague Castle remains the beating heart of the nation, a timeless symbol of resilience, faith, and grandeur. Tucked within the mighty walls of Prague Castle lies a street straight out of a fairy tale, the Golden Lane. Its tiny, colorful houses line a narrow cobblestone path, whispering stories from centuries past. Built in the late 1500s for the castle's guards and craftsmen, the lane soon became the stuff of legend. Alchemists were said to have worked here, searching for the secret to turn metal into gold, giving the street its mystical name. Through the years, it became home to goldsmiths, fortune-tellers, and dreamers, including Franz Kafka, who once found inspiration in the small blue house at number 22. Today, every doorway tells a tale, from medieval armorers to 20th century writers, all echoing the timeless charm of Prague. Hidden beneath the charming, colorful cottages of Golden Lane lies a darker chapter of Prague Castle's history, the torture chamber. These cold stone vaults once served as the castle's medieval prison, where accused traitors and spies awaited judgment and often confession. Dimly lit and lined with heavy iron doors, the chamber still displays instruments of interrogation, racks, shackles, and spiked wheels, grim reminders of a time when justice was delivered through fear. The air feels thick with echoes of suffering, a stark contrast to the fairy tale cottages above where alchemists and guards once lived. Here, beneath the beauty of the castle, Prague reveals its other face, one shaped not just by kings and cathedrals, but by the shadows of human cruelty and power. Stretching gracefully across the Vltava River, the Charles Bridge is Prague's most iconic landmark, a masterpiece of Gothic engineering and Baroque art. Commissioned by King Charles IV in 1357, the bridge once linked Prague Castle with the Old Town, serving as the main route for merchants and kings alike. Lined with 30 statues of saints, each figure seems to watch over the crowds below. Silent witnesses, 2 centuries of coronations, floods, and battles. Beneath your feet, the bridge's ancient sandstone arches have withstood more than 600 years of history. While the Charles Bridge appears lined with centuries-old statues, almost all of them are replicas. The originals, worn by time and weather, were carefully moved to the National Museum's lapidarium for preservation. Today, what you see are faithful copies, keeping history alive without risking its loss. This is the only one original statue still stands here. The bronze figure of Saint John of Nepomuc, cast in 1683. Legend says, touching his plaque brings good luck and ensures your return to Prague. It's the bridge's sole survivor of authenticity, amid a gallery of graceful imitations. Standing proudly on the southern wall of the old town hall, the Prague astronomical clock, or horloge, is one of the oldest and most intricate timepieces in the world. Installed in 1410, it's a marvel of medieval science, combining astronomy, art, and legend into one living machine. Every hour, crowds gather below as the clock comes to life. The 12 apostles march past tiny windows. Death rings his bell, and vanity and greed shake their heads in warning. The golden dial doesn't just tell time, it charts the movement of the sun, moon, and zodiac, capturing the medieval view of the universe itself. Rising high above the city on Petřín Hill, the Petřín Lookout Tower is Prague's answer to the Eiffel Tower, smaller in size but rich in charm. Built in 1891 for the Jubilee exhibition, its steel lattice design offers sweeping views of the city.
So, we have here the Czech hot chocolate, which comes in just the hot milk, and the chocolate 70% is apart, and you mix the two to make the hot chocolate drink.
It's gonna take a while, I think, that we have.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to dissolve. So we can go and sit somewhere in the meantime.
Just nearby lies the Mirror Maze, also built in 1891, a delightful escape into illusion. Inside its wooden pavilion, corridors of mirrors twist and multiply your reflection until you lose all sense of direction. At the end, a diorama of Czech soldiers defending Prague stands frozen in glass. A playful yet patriotic reminder that history and imagination often intertwine on Petřín Hill.
Tiene que ir al lado donde no te veas a ti mismo.
Yes, that's a logical thing.
It is really confusing. Very easy to get lost. Aquí tú pareces más larga. A la izquierda.
Det er så mærkeligt, når dem bare vil jakke kage og hovedet, så er det stadig. Me encanta.
Mira, aquí es un brazo chiquito.
Aquí se cambia. Ese vas por abajo.
Me voy a
Eso también. Detrás. Detrás.
Esto como es la cara.
Sí.
Here you have like the, oh my god, look. Look.
Perched high above the Vltava River, Vyšehrad Fortress is one of Prague's most ancient and mysterious landmarks, a place where legend and history meet. Built in the 10th century, Vyšehrad once served as a royal seat before Prague Castle rose to power. Its massive stone walls and hidden casemates still echo with centuries of defense, faith, and intrigue. Beneath the ramparts lie underground passages, once used to shelter soldiers, now home to the original Baroque statues from Charles Bridge. Within the fortress stands the elegant Basilica of St. Peter and St. Paul, and the Vyšehrad Cemetery, resting place of Czech greats like Divoké and Smetana. From its ramparts, the city spreads out in silence, a breathtaking view of Prague's past, watching over its present.
Moving 4 groups of casemates. Here in the Prague, when we are situated now, in Czech language called Cihelna Brána, continue to the Bastion 33 or Bastion of St. Bernard, the Gorlice Castles, which were named by the Battle of Gorlice from 1915. Austro-Hungarian and German army during the First World War defeated the Russian army and crushed the Eastern Front. That battle is really important for us because in the both army, Austrian-Hungarian and Russian, fights together Czechoslovak soldiers. Because of that, Gorlice Castle. On the southeast, in the Bastion 34 or Bastion of St. Paul, are the St. Martin Casemate in front of the Rotunda of St. Martin, one of the few buildings on fortress which survived the Hussite rebellion in 1420. On the second side, in the Bastion of St. Peter, in or 35, were prepared Podol Casemate in front of the Prague Podolí, and south-northwest is the Bastion 38 in the Reden Casemate. All that citadel is almost completely from 17th century because in 1678 the Giovanni Capaldi died and all building wars were stopped. In middle of 18th century, during the wars between the French Kingdom and Austrian Empire, the Maria Theresia fight with the French soldiers which occupied the city of Prague and Vyšehrad Fortress between 1741 and 1742. During this time of the one-year occupation of French army, French soldiers rebuilt some structures on the fortress and also prepared the Ravelin, pentagonal fortress similar to the Bastion, from the Prague Gate as the last defense lines to the gate. But after 1 year occupation, they were dismissed from Bohemia, Maria Theresia defeated them, and in the middle of 19th century was Vyšehrad definitely finished to these conditions, but until this day, this fortress unfinished enemy. The bastions were never used in the real battle. Why? Because in the history of Prague, all enemies attacking the city from the north, Swedish, Saxon, Russian, French, all attacking from the northwest, and the massive fortress on the south where you don't have besieging enemies is for nothing. So finally, in 1911 was fortress officially united with the Prague and delivered. And these garrisons for soldiers was rebuilt for the flats for Prague inhabitants and, of course, many other parts of the fortress. But it was changed by the communists which came to the power in 1948, destroyed the flats, and our bastions were made by them to the store area for potatoes. After that, in 1991, potatoes missed finally, and our Vyšehrad was finally open for you. Now you can free cross that exposition, and if you will have any question, just ask. Yo.
In almost completely darkness, unfortunately, how German soldiers during the Second World War planned to rebuild that system to the bunkers. They prepared the electricity, which is the stable for which is the also similar like modern electricity, and they mining these two rooms, what are originally the SS unit toilets for ladies and for gentlemen. Excuse me. You can recognize that are the toilets by the wooden pieces from the glass, and inside I prepared the wooden cascade with the sand. No canalization never exists. And on the Prague Podolí, south from the Vyšehrad, they also prepared the hospital for soldiers of SS unit, because all of the Second World War, the SS soldier has prepared their own hospital on Vyšehrad. And that hospital on Prague Podolí still functions as a hospital for mothers and children. In the same rooms where were situated the wounded German soldiers are today wounded. And during the air attacks, the Germans were prepared to transport wounded men here to this casemate, where were prepared toilets for them and also for the nurses or another girlfriends. But until the end of the war, at least normally on Vyšehrad, nothing was finished completely. Fortress is unfinished, bunkers are unfinished, and Germans also planned by the project Palm rebuild the Vyšehrad to the underlevel factory for weapons, but never started to build. So the Vyšehrad is one great unsuccessful project. Were prepared for the counter-attacking them to the back. So from that area men's attacked. In place it was not far position, it just not mean that from that area they prepared the artillery. No, artillery was just above us, on the barbets and bandits. That is just the glass replics from my colleagues because they want to have something here in the empty area.
Possible that in this area, if you see to the right side, that wall is a little curved because originally it is the front stone plan which was upgraded against the Canaan walls. You can see that all around the fortress outside, and here was originally the open area. Giovanni Capaldi in 17th century made a mistake, and that wall which should be situated here, situate closer to the citadel on that one. When during the inspection, Josef Priami, it looks like that was standing on that line, he was so angry and he made the decision to automatically rebuild it and prepare the new one in the right place. And in the result, the St. Bernard bastion has two left walls, and between them and the three areas about 260 square meters. And Josef Priami asked himself, what I will do with that area? It's for nothing, covered it by the sand. And he wants to do that, but as you can see, he forgot. And finally, in 18th century came the French occupators, built that stone consoles on the sides, and like last year, as you know from the Prague days, consoles meaning that it should be situated the wooden floor and really long. First and the second wooden floor, where the French soldiers has the bakery, garrison's rooms, store areas and another. French soldiers using that for 1 year, but after they were rebuilt by the Austrian army, and this window close to the sailing are not rebuilt, but entrances from the central part of bastions and garrisons. After that, in First Czech Republic, this fortress was never more used as a war area. These originally garrisons on the floors were rebuilt to the store area for National Theatre requisites, and after that we store here the movies from cinemas. But after that came the communists, destroyed the floors, just some pillars in the center left, and all that room was completely full by the potatoes. Nothing more, just the vegetable. And it's ending with 1992, when the Czechoslovak government made the decision to repair that nice floor, only one real floor in order to estimate, and organized here the lapidarium for Charles statue. All these statues are the Baroque originals from 18th century, which standing on the Charles Bridge until the 1992, when Czechoslovak government decided to protect them, and all statues were transported from the Charles Bridge to the Prague Castle in the northern Prague, but from that traveling to the eastern Prague to Pohnice Hospital, and finally to the south on Vyšehrad. So these statues traveling all around the city of Prague, and finally we situate here just 6 pieces. They want to situate here all 30 statues from the bridge, but I think it's really impossible mission. Other statues you can find today in the National Museum or Lapidarium of Holešovec. On the Charles Bridge, you cannot find any original statue, just St. John of Nepomuc in bronze is the original. Other ones are just the copies. From the original, see here the St. Augustine, famous 5th century.
Tucked away in the heart of Prague's Mala Strana district stands the Church of Our Lady Victorious, a Baroque gem dating back to 1611. This church is renowned for housing the infant Jesus of Prague, a 16th century statue of the child Jesus, believed to have originated in Spain. In 1628, Princess Polixena of Lobkowicz gifted it to the Discalced Carmelite order, marking the beginning of its deep-rooted connection to Prague. The Wallenstein Palace Gardens offer a serene escape from the bustling streets of Prague. These Baroque gardens, built in the 1620s by Albrecht von Wallenstein, were designed as a private retreat for the palace's original owner, combining symmetry, fountains, and carefully sculpted greenery. Along the gravel paths, we encountered statues of mythological figures, peaceful ponds, and even roaming peacocks, all framed by meticulously trimmed hedges and tree-lined avenues. The centerpiece, however, is the massive grotto-like wall, adorned with shells and stalactites, creating a dramatic theatrical backdrop that surprises visitors with its artistry and scale. We chose to end our spectacular visit with an equally spectacular lunch while cruising along the Vltava River.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. So please, welcome drink for you. Czech Republic liquor Vyšehradka. Okay. Hello. Hello. Yes, please. And please follow my guide. So please come to your table.